Hi friends, how many of you read the stories of Shakespeare? One of his novels was King Lear. In that novel, he had three daughters and he liked all his. When King Lear's wife died, he had taken care of his daughters. To that extent, he developed so possessive about his daughters and he thought that his daughters should like him the most. They should not like anybody else except him. That is what he developed. But unexpected answer he got from his third daughter. And his most beloved daughter was the youngest one. And one of his weakness was being carried away by flattery. Actually, during his old days, he wanted to distribute his kingdom amongst his three daughters. He had no sons, he had only three daughters, and he wanted to distribute his kingdom amongst his three daughters. He called them and asked how much they liked him. So he expected that they liked him more than anything else in the world. He got the expected answers from the first, the elder ones. Julia's youngest beloved daughter's name was Cordelia, and she said, "How can I tell how much I love you? Till now, my love is towards you. I love the most. But after getting married, I have to share my love between you and my husband. So I can't tell I will love you the most." For that, he was so annoyed and banished her from the kingdom. His two elder daughters, after getting their share of kingdom, they completely changed. They started ill-treating the king. King became mad and he went out of the kingdom. He came out of the kingdom and had many, but his youngest daughter, his beloved youngest daughter Cordelia, only took care of him. That is what the story goes on. Then, based on that, we have another story developed in Telugu. Based on this story, perhaps during the years 1950s, a movie was taken. The name of the movie was Gunasundari. Let us know some interesting incidents happened in the story. Story of Gunasundari, friends. Once there was a king, had three daughters. With the death of his wife, he developed a lot of attachment with his daughters. His most beloved daughter was Gunasundari. On the day of his birthday, he decided to give his kingdom to his daughters. Before giving them, he asked them a question. "What is your opinion about me?" The eldest said, "You are a great ruler, a great father, and you are everything for me." He was pleased and asked the second one the same question. She said, "My existence is impossible without you. You are such a great father." Feeling very happy, he asked his beloved youngest daughter, "You heard what your sisters said about me. What is your opinion about me?" "I have a lot of respect towards you as my father," she said. "What? You have only respect to me? Nothing more than that?" he asked. "Yes, father, and I will show my love to my husband, whoever married me." "Can you tell me the same if you marry a blind, a lame, a deaf and dumb man?" "Yes, Dad. I don't change my opinion," Gunasundari said firmly. "Okay, stick on to your opinion," said the king angrily. The king had two nephews and he made them his sons-in-law. They married his first and second daughter. She asked his men to get a lame, blind, deaf and dumb man to make him his third son-in-law. With great difficulty, they found such a man with all these disabilities. Without saying a word, Gunasundari agreed to marry him. Three of his sons-in-law were in his kingdom. People started insulting Gunasundari and her husband. In fact, he was not completely deaf and dumb. He shouted at them, "How dare you to insult me and my wife?" King came to know he was not completely deaf and dumb, and even not completely blind too. Angrily, he was climbing down his stairs and fell down. His leg was severely injured. Those daughters who praised him earlier changed their attitude towards their father. They asked their daughter to amputate his leg. The king developed more enmity towards his youngest daughter, Gunasundari, because he thought the result of all these happenings were only because of her. Unable to bear that insult, her husband said, "We need not stay here anymore. We don't need this kingdom. Let us leave this place and settle somewhere else," said Gunasundari's husband. "How can I leave my father at this stage?" Someone gave suggestion to these three daughters. "Your father's leg need not be amputated on one condition. There was a money at a mountain. If you rub his leg with that precious stone, he will be relieved," said an elderly man. "My husband can get it," said Gunasundari. Her sisters and her brothers-in-law laughed at her. "Such an old man with all handicaps can get it," they laughed sarcastically. "You please prove yourself," said Gunasundari, looking at him. "Okay, I will do. First, let us go away from here. We need not tolerate their insults," he said and took her. They became poor. Gunasundari was no longer a princess. As said by her husband, she left the kingdom and was staying in a small hut. One day, she was going to a lake to get water. At that time, a young handsome man approached and asked her to marry him. "How dare you? I am married," she said, frowning at him. He was following her. She threw the pot at the man. She came running home. She found a wound on her husband's forehead. "What happened? When did you get hurt?" she asked. "Nothing, a small injury," he said. Later, he took a drawing book and painted her picture as if she were throwing a pot. Named the pig Gunasundari. Seeing the pig, she was shocked. It was exactly the same scene. When she went to get water, she got a doubt. "Tell me who you are." "Were you the same handsome man I threw the pot at?" she asked. He had to tell his flashback. He was actually the handsome prince without any disabilities. Because of his guru's curse, his form changed into an ugly, old, lame, blind, and deaf man. Then he said to his wife, he disclosed everything to his wife. He was allowed to show his original form only to his wife. So, he turned himself into the same handsome man whom she met at the lake. He further added, "But you should not disclose this to anyone, otherwise I will be turned to be a bear," he said. She was very much pleased and requested him to cure her father's injury with that precious stone. He went to the place where he could find that money. It was under the control of yakshas. That money worked only with a mantra. They whispered that mantra and gave to him. At the same time, his co-brothers also reached and saw this glittering stone. No doubt it was the same money they should take to the king. They snatched it from his hand and left the place. They reached king's palace. They started rubbing the king's injured part with it, but it had no effect because they didn't know that they had to chant that mantra. Gunasundari said, "My husband can heal my father's wound." They started laughing again. "That old lame blind fellow." When they were insulting her husband, she couldn't control her emotions. "Do you know who he is? He is a handsome prince. Because of his guru's curse, he turned to be so." She slipped her tongue. Her husband turned to be a bear. What could she do then? She prayed Parvati and Parameshwar. They came in disguise of a couple and went to the king and said, "This money can show its power only on chanting a mantra. Your two other sons-in-law do not know the mantra except Gunasundari's husband. So, your third son-in-law can only save you from this wound." They said and left the place. Because of their blessings, he got his original form, which was permanent. He went to the king, rubbed his injured part, chanting mantra. Then the king was cured of his injury. He came to know about his son-in-law's story, repented for his act, and then he made him the king. This narration might not be exactly the same which is there in the movie. If you get a chance, you please watch this movie Gunasundari, and there are many comic elements in that movie. So if you get a chance to watch the movie, please watch the movie. You also read the novel King Lear, written by William Shakespeare.